Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to start off by saying a belated Happy New Year to everyone. It was great to see everybody back on campus yesterday, looking rested and healthy. Those of you who came from faraway places obviously brought the cold air with you. I got into my car in the driveway yesterday to take our children to school, and it was 1 degree. An ominous 1 degree. Fortunately, it'll be a little bit better this morning and in the days ahead. But we have missed you all, and as I said, it warms my heart to see everyone back and looking healthy. I mean that. The last few weeks have been very, very quiet on the hilltop, as you can imagine, and in my mind, perhaps too quiet. So it's very good to have you back, boys. Before I get into what I want to talk about, I want to remind everybody that the first athletic contest of the winter, this part of the winter, will be held today in the late afternoon, and it is the Thirds basketball team representing Salisbury School. And I just want to say, there is nothing more fun to watch than Thirds basketball. No, I mean that. And so I hope everyone will come out and support the boys that are playing today. Let's start off on the right foot. You guys are also playing Indian Mountain School, where I went to and where I attended, and I hope you'll do very well against them. All right, so I want to share a quick story with you this morning, and I promise to be brief. At some point over the break, sometime between Christmas and New Year's, I was doing what I normally do, which is cleaning stuff out of our house. It's kind of a good year to do that, time of year to do that. We tend in our family to collect too many old papers and other stuff, and it just piles up, and I can't stand it. My wife Tracy is a pack rat. She saves everything. Useless stuff, but don't tell her I said that. I, on the other hand, like to throw things away. I like to keep it light and simple. So anyway, on that particular day, I was at my desk at our house, and I was sorting through some old photographs. And I came across a picture of my father and me from many, many years ago. It's an especially meaningful picture. I don't know why it was in my desk, but it's a famous picture in our house. There's one of me on that day, but there is also others of my sisters on their graduation days. And the picture, I call it the hug. One of my sisters calls it the moment. I'll explain the significance of that later, but I can remember the exact time that the very moment that the picture was taken. I was standing outside the American Civilizations Department building on Waterman Street in Providence, Rhode Island, on the campus of Brown University. And it was a beautiful Monday, Memorial Day in 1989. The sun was bright, perfect weather, smell of summer was in the air. And moments before, I had been handed my diploma. I was officially done with my undergraduate education. It was a big moment for me, as it is for anyone who's done that. And it was a big moment for my father, too, for many different reasons, and let me explain. You see, on that day, a parent, whether you're a father or mother, is really proud of their child, graduating from college. I am my dad's only son, so that was meaningful for him. It was a big day for a father and a son. My sisters would deny the second point, but it's absolutely the truth. It was just an especially sweet moment for me and my dad, because some 32 years before, he had too graduated from Brown University. And so we shared this commonality, this accomplishment together, and we celebrated that. But there was also some deeper meanings for my father that day, and that's what I really want to talk about. You see, in helping me get to that particular moment, he had accomplished a goal that nearly all parents have in their lives. Your parents have it. My faculty colleagues who are sitting around the chapel this morning. He had paved the way, the financial way, for me to graduate with a college diploma. Let me go back a few years. I remember sitting with my dad in his office at our home when I was a younger boy. I can't remember how old I was. When my father had something important to discuss with us, we would get called down to his office in our house, there was this old orange couch that he had in his office. And in the 70s, it was a really chic color. If you saw it today, it was the ugliest color you could possibly imagine. But anyway, we sat on this orange couch, and he would sit at his desk. And as he would sit and talk to us, he would be often scraping out the remnants of old pipe tobacco out of a pipe that he smoked. And it was the kind of the same routine every time we had an important thing to discuss. So the subject that day was a promise. And it was a promise that he made to me that day, and quite frankly, reminded me of many times after. He said on that day, "I'm going to make it possible for you to receive the very best education a boy can get. When you graduate from college, you will be debt-free. I'm going to pay for your room and your board and your tuition. You may have to work in college to get some spending money, but your books and everything else will be paid in full. My parents did that for me, and I'm going to do that for you and your sisters." And then he cleared his throat, and he leaned forward in his seat and looked me dead in the eye and said, "However, when that day comes, you will be a man, and you will be responsible for everything else in your life." I can go back to that moment, and I can see his gaze, and I can see the seriousness in his eye. And what he meant was, when I got to that place, when I was handed my college diploma, the parental ATM was permanently closed for business. He went on, "My house is always open for you, and I will try and open any and all doors possible for you to get an interview or a job opportunity with contacts I have. But let me reassure you, financially, you are on your own." So, fast forward to that sunny day in May on Waterman Street in 1989. The hug, as I call it. The hug that day was genuine. Genuine satisfaction, pride, but also personal satisfaction. His personal satisfaction. He was pleased that he had kept his promise. He should have been. He'd set a goal, and he'd accomplished it. He was a school teacher, an administrator. So 3 college tuitions for me and my 2 sisters was a lot. It was a big burden. But at that moment, he was through 2, and I think he had figured out the way to get through 3. So it was a big moment for him, like his father had done before him. And I was armed with a great education and no debt. What a gift. What a gift. And the road ahead was completely of my choosing. The hug represented all of that. And it was a challenge of some sorts too. Basically what he was saying to me was, here you are, 22 years old, well-educated, ready to take on the world. Go to it. Have at it. It's all up to you. Now when I tell, actually my wife has this reaction, but other people, they think that my father's a little bit of a curmudgeon in acting that way. And even one of my friends said, "Geez, your dad's kind of a cheapskate." And, they'd say, "Geez, he cut you off right there on the sidewalk. He pulled all the support." And what I say back to him was, "Damn right he did. Damn right he did." The timing was perfect. It shocks me when people think it was harsh or unjust or unloving or cheap. I look at it as exceptional parenting. I look back on it as being given the very best opportunity. You see, early on, going back to that day in his office, he established an expectation for me and for my sisters. And we knew it years in advance. We knew it was coming. He set a goal for himself and one for me and for each of my sisters. And that's how I look at it. I look at it as a partnership. I look at it as a great deal. Basically, he did this for me, and now it was time for me to show him that his investment in me was worthy. The hug helped launch my first steps into the adult world, the working world. I was a boy no longer. I knew my father would support me each and every day, spiritually and emotionally. In fact, he showered me with love in many, many ways. But it was up to me to make my own way. That was an incredible gift. An incredible gift. I learned to be truly independent. And I learned to be free. Now, truth be told, he was not impressed with my first job, banging nails as a carpenter for island-style construction on Nantucket Island. And he nearly swallowed his tongue when I came home at Christmas time and told him I was working on a commercial scallop boat as a first mate. But I was making my own way, and I didn't ask him for a dime, and it felt great. It felt great. And not too long afterwards, I found my way to this hilltop, where I've been extremely happy ever since. The hug. The hug was a great moment for both of us. That's my story. I hope as you walk out of this chapel and think about things through the rest of the day, I hope there are 3 things that I'd like you to think about. The first is the blessing of reflection. From time to time, as I did over break, I hope you'll sit back and think. Turn your iPad off, sit alone in your room, in silence, and think. Think about where you are. Think about what you've been given. Think about where you're headed. I hope you'll ask yourself from time to time, what is truly important to you? What's important? What do you want to achieve in this next year? What do you want to achieve in these next 2 months? What kind of son are you to your parents? What kind of brother? What kind of friend? Are you loyal? What are the values that mean most to you? People who spend some time thinking like that often find very, very positive ways to change their lives. And I think it makes them happy. So think. The second is the gift of independence. I appreciate more and more each day what my father did for me. Quite frankly, what both parents did to me, but I'm talking about my dad this morning. He gave me the inspiration and the gumption to make my own way in this world. And I cannot think of a better gift to give a child. And I'm indebted to him for this. The gift of independence is priceless. It's glorious. The third and final thought I have for you is a little tricky, but I want to bring it to your attention anyway. You may have heard about or read about an epidemic we have in this country. It's an epidemic of able, adult-aged men living at home or in their parents' basement. Many refer to this as the failure to launch syndrome. I call it living on the dole. Grown men unwilling to go out in the world and stake their claim. Hiding. Able, but afraid. Afraid to make their own way. Content to live off their parents. Playing video games all day long in a basement. It's bad. It's bad. Do me a favor. Make yourself and me a promise today that you will never fall into this trap. We, the faculty, have a lot invested in you. And we have great aspirations for you. So do your parents and your families. For today, for tomorrow, and for the years ahead. Tell yourself right now that you will honor what you have been given as a boy by standing on your own 2 feet when you are a man. You are at Salisbury to get a great education. And a big part of that learning is learning to be independent. It's finding your passions. And it's learning to believe in yourself. hope you will spend some time envisioning the man that you seek to become over the next few weeks. I hope you will think about the values that mean most to you and what you will carry with you as you become a man. There will be a time when it is your turn to plant your flag in the ground. To be a man, to take your place in society, to do a job well, to make a nice home, perhaps to start a family of your own. It is so exciting what you all have in front of you. So exciting. When that time comes, you take it. You take it. You take it because you can. You are bright, you are committed, you are proud, and you are strong. We expect nothing less of you, gentlemen. Good morning.